Okay. So this goes. Probably do need to put the light on. A bit better. That cuts down the not the best quality in the world, but we'll go with it. So the purpose of today's stream is a water drink water stream, and what we're going to do is verify the functionality we got working last time. So I need to shave. Feeling grubby. The problem with starting streams first thing in the morning. Last time we got it validating at least a token, so this time it's going to be more about making sure the workflow is correct in the UI. So let's have a look and see what we did. Bitrate is still off. Okay, so what we got working last time was test test.nowhere.com test. So we got that working, and then it does show us that. So it doesn't, so when we log in, main layout, home. When we do log in, it's meant to navigate to log. Remove the unused. It's not unused. It doesn't know that it's called because it's not there. That's not going to do anything, right? Log in. Log in. Let's log out. Let's log in. Then do we have to do state has changed? Await state has changed. Let's just, I don't know if we actually need to do that. Test.nowhere.com test. Huh. So when we authenticate, we actually we set the token. We're not using. So why is that? Nothing triggers this to fire. Login's still working, which is okay. And navigate to log works, but then the authentication state hasn't changed, right? So the screen isn't drawing what it needs to do. So let's have a look. That's more like what I want. So this is struggling to inject a service. How to inject? Well, that's not what I actually asked, but Um, I wonder if I could do await. Do I inject my authentication state provider in here? Get private authentication state provider. What do I do? Dot. Do I do that before refreshing? Hey, Real Sky Ninja, how you doing? So test that nowhere.com test. No, that still requires a reload. Not bad. I'm not bad. I'm tinkering with stuff that I'm kind of new to overall. So, oh, thank you for the follow, by the way. So this is a project that I do on Mondays and Tuesdays. This is kind of stream friendly, I suppose, is the best way to put it, right? So the idea is this project is fully open source, and right now it's kind of roughly designed. The idea is it's a project to allow you to track your water consumption, right? And it's on my TB Friends repository. And the goal is that it's an application that if you want to download and play with, you can download and play with it. If you want to contribute to it, you can contribute to it. If you just want to fork it and tinker with it, you can do. If you want to develop a UI against an existing API, you can do it that way. You know, so it's kind of aimed at being, I mean, if you're a .NET developer playing with the API, if you are, you know, if you're interested in the client stuff, you want to do React or Vue or Svelte or whatever, you're able to do those things and kind of, no, not a stream overlay, just a general application. I don't do much with stream on stream. I don't like getting down into tinkering with gadgets and things like that. So most of what I do on stream is actual development. I have ideas for some stuff on stream, but not really direct. My .NET development is a little bit heavy, I suppose. But this project is aimed at being a little bit more beginner friendly. So as people come into the stream, if you follow what I do normally, right, you're able to kind of tinker with this and learn a little bit. So C#, this is Blazor WebAssembly, right? But there is an API, and we've kind of everything that gets developed on this gets developed on stream. Nothing gets developed off stream for this. So I'm not doing this in my spare time. That's the reservation of my main project, which is not running right now, but is that. So let's close that down. Yeah, I long since gave up trying to do stuff on stream overlays and things like that, and putting more entertainment stuff into my stream because it's just not what I do. So I've been a .NET developer for 20 years. I've been a developer for 25 years. You know, so it's for me. I like doing this stuff. This is where I'm amused, and people who come in here normally, you know, I hope people get something out of it. So why on initialized async? So if it's there, it redirects to log. The main layout does definitely. So how do you trigger that to change? So basically, the way this works is if you're not authorized, you see the home page, right? The home page is the login. When you log in, you get authorized, and then you should see the login preferences. But what's happening is, if I log out, there's a secret button there, right? If I go here, right, that shouldn't show. I mean, it's not allowing me to do anything, so that's good. But I assume I need to do something with the routes there. App Razor, authorized route view, not found. Found. Can I do a not authorized? Not authorized. Blazor WebAssembly. Authorized route view. Not authorized. Okay, let's have a look. So apparently we have that available to us. Not authorized. Redirect to login. What does redirect to login? What does that mean when login is the home page? I assume I have to configure that somewhere. Imports. Where does redirect to login go to? So in general, the way this stream works, if you're new to the stream, you're more than welcome to share opinions, thoughts, ideas. This project is, again, fully open source. You're more than welcome to go and check it out. It is available. I've had to turn the bot off and everything, so that's going to be fun. Water, drink, water. All the code is available there. Not authorized. Let's just put not authorized in there for now. Let's see if that works. That's what I want to do first. Let's see. So now, that shouldn't show though. That should be not authorized. So how do I protect a view? Someone said it doesn't work, but so do I have to do log? Oh yeah, authorized view. Okay. So that's why. So this isn't authorized. So this is only put under the authorized part, but you can still go to log, which is probably what I don't want to have happen. So I will need to redirect. So how do I do authorize on a view? Is the challenge. And what does redirect? Where does redirect to login go? Because I could do not not authorized. Does it show me that? Plays a client. Hot reload isn't exactly what I would expect it to be, so I'm not entirely sure that's working. Okay, so if I go to log now, you're not authorized to view. Okay, so I do know the difference between authorized and not authorized. Right. But I don't want that. I want that to do, I kind of want that to do redirect login. But that's not going to be defined, so let's restart that. Right, that's fine. So authorized routes, laser WebAssembly, redirect to login. I assume that I've got to configure what login really means. There's somewhere. So allow anonymous. This is the page was on before. Imports attribute authorized. Add attribute to each. So what that's saying is this needs to be attribute authorize. Right. And then let's restart that. So many different tags and ways of doing things. Log. Okay, so that gives me that's a better design. But how do I do? So that's what that's doing is that is showing that, right? So I'm not authorized. So how do I configure redirect to login? What is login redirect? Custom login redirect. So many different ways of doing the same thing. It's just like, hey, here's how to do this thing. App route view. App main layout, app settings, API URL. That's fine. We're hard coding that for right this second. Razor imports app component. Found app route view. So that's so what was this one? There was one right at the top. And that is app route view. That is basically kind of a nested thing here. But can I just redirect to the home page if like hold on. Redirect to login. All right. That's not an actual element. That's why. So there's lots of people suggesting it. So the way that would work would be we would need a where is it? Yeah. So what we need is a components folder. And then we need a Blazor component, and this is redirect to login. Then we want to do move block to code behind. Oh. Stop running. That's why that's doing that. You can't go creating. Oh, come on. Protected override on initialized async. Huh. You have to have code in there for it to move it. Okay, that's fine. So what this is going to do is we're going to get a navigation manager. And we're going to figure out if we're authorized. Basically. So we're going to do protected override. There's no override of render. There is no override of render. Oh, hold on. Assume. So route view. App route view. So that's just a CS file. So we don't need that to be yeah, to log in. These don't like being a component as well. Okay. But then this should be Now my version is slightly different because this is taking the actual page. I'm just redirecting. Okay, that's what they're doing. So this is an actual route view, so they're using this to actually redirect. HFS Kilmster, welcome. That's the difference. I don't want to do this because this is a thing that's going to render the thing that it's passed in, right? I don't want to wrap the renderer necessarily. Maybe I do. Because the way they use that is down here in the app. Wherever you are, Blazor app. They have the app route view, right? And that's authorized route view right now. So I don't want to do that. Let's have a look. Let's see if this has any sort of... No, we're not going to get anywhere there. So there's that render. If existing cascaded authentication state is not equal to null, render otherwise open. Okay, so that's just controlling all these pieces. So I don't want to do this. I don't want to start creating yet more components. Coding Craftsman, good morning. How are you doing? All I want to do is redirect if it's not authorized. Which does not seem like it should be hard to do. Blazor redirect. Blazor WebAssembly. Redirect to login if not authorized. Doing good. Doing good. I was in 2 minds. So this is the project I do on Mondays and Tuesdays. It's aimed at being a little simpler. A, I get to scramble through some technologies. B, overall, this is developed in a very rough manner. The idea being that over time we can evolve it and start to apply some better architecture, etc. to it. But I chose to use Blazor WebAssembly because it's completely... Every time I touch Blazor, I just feel... like there's a million and one different ways to go at it, and I always feel out my depth. So right now, this is me struggling through trying to get Blazor authentication to work enough to get the app to at least be reasonably good. So what we've done so far with this application is we've rolled our own authentication deliberately because it needs to be isolated. So it needs to be, you can check this project out and run with it. So there's a basic authentication process, and now I'm kind of trying to make the UI use my custom state provider and validate that I'm logged in. So I'm trying to learn my way around that. I actually was tempted to carry on with my main project this morning because I was making good progress with that. So the main project I've been putting GraphQL in, and I was about to start working on Angular signal stores. So, which, if I'm honest, is way more interesting than this. But this is kind of my project. So this is my Monday, Tuesday stream project. So I can't really pivot from that, or rather, I shouldn't pivot from that. So the goal of this project is basically just tracking water consumption. So my daughter and I we're both pretty bad at tracking water. So it's kind of just serve two purposes, right? A simple application that does very little things. Make it a little bit more supportive. So ultimately adding the ability to add friends and show their usage so you can kind of prompt them their consumption, not their usage, and kind of get some ideas down in there, but also be able to talk about architecture and redesigning and things like that, and use it as a reference application on stream. My main project is not open source and is a little heavier. Cool. I know I struggle with Blazor. It feels conceptually easy, but when I get into it, I feel like I just kind of flop around a lot. Yeah, that's pretty much my experience with with Blazor. Sorry. I mean, front end in general is not my strong point. I'm definitely happier when I'm kind of building systems. Architecture in general is more of a passion. But you know, in today's world, if you can't develop a UI as well, then can't really do many projects on your own. So what I'm trying to figure out here is how to have this, so I can get the not authorized now. I get that. So if I go to preferences, actually I can do that here. Attribute authorize. Right, so I can do that there now. That'll protect that route. Attribute allow anonymous. That's that. Not sure what the right thing to do there is. So the idea being that this will provide my login, and it should navigate. But do I just need to reverse that? Let's try. Nope, need both pieces started up. Can't do it with one. App stack. Need the API to be running as well. So the reason I picked Blazor WebAssembly was purely because I wanted to make sure that I was doing something that was at least challenging for me. One of the things I don't mind sharing on stream is, you know, the real challenges that I face with software development, right? Okay, so that navigated to log, but it's not showing anything, so it's not authenticated. Now if I refresh, it's authenticated. So I need to trigger somehow that authentication state to be refreshed when I log in. Blazor WebAssembly refresh authentication state provider. Blazor client WebAssembly only updates. Right. Okay, let's have a look. I think I got that working today. Okay, so what that's saying is I need to do that, and then I need to do builder.services to add scoped that. Okay, let's log out. There's a secret log out button right there. By secret, I mean completely accidentally not styled like everything else. Test.nowhere.com test. Nope. I mean, it's working if I refresh, right? So this is actually intentional, right? But the idea would be this is what shows after I've logged in. So that wasn't the fault. I wasn't doing that previously anyway, so this just works, but that's fine. But should authentication state provider be singleton? I don't think so. Singleton would be bad. I assume we need one of them per. Authorized view not working after logging. Blazor assembly authentication state provider. So, oh no, it's bad being seen not working 3 days ago. The problem is that after I log in, the authentication state is not refreshed. Mr. Jones, good morning or good afternoon. How are you doing? All the services registered I have implemented. Okay, so authentication state provider. Notify user has changed. Apex. Good morning. Although I have just, it's a Monday and I'm back at work, although I have just made another purchase. Okay. Is it a set of pillows for the mattresses? Is it fresh bedding? Okay, so let's have a look. Let's do this. So maybe we need to do that. Let's have a look. So this would be authentication state provider dot notify user has changed. That would have to be, I'd have to make sure I'm injecting the correct type. So custom. No, although those are on the list, this time it is tech related, but love how no one in here is going to have any contest to that. Morning, Junicus. So what makes it fun? Oh dear. Okay. Let's see if this does anything different. So the challenge I'm having for everyone just starting to watch is in Blazor WebAssembly, I'm logging in and I want it to tell me that the state has changed when I log in, right? So if I go here, right, this is working fine, right? If I log out, the authentication state provider is definitely working because it's providing, I know when I'm logged in, logged out. So if I go here, test at nowhere.com and test, I'm not getting the state until I refresh, right? So if I refresh now, things are working. But when I log in, I don't get that refresh. So that was what that was meant to do. Notify authentication state changed, right? So what am I doing wrong? So start out the framework test of the user logged in. If not, I'll redirect to login. I'll worry about logging afterwards. The framework calls authorized view on parameter set state. Close the browser and restart it. It will find the user data stored in local storage and the user will be correctly authorized. Also, if I log out the user, I clear up this local storage and notify author. It works if I navigate using force load true. Found the problem as registering persistent authentication state provider as itself and as authentication state provider. So the two instances active in the memory at the same time. Well, that's what that other thing that I did fixed, right? So that says, hey, set this up, but now when I ask for this, give me an instance of this, right? So that's making sure there's only one instance there. And they should be scoped because they should be per request. That's correct. Rambling Geek hasn't owned one. Well, it's not an Elgato product then. I'm pretty sure he's owned all of them. So what do I do here? How do I do this? I'm not doing that. Works if I refresh. Laser assembly. Custom authorization state provider. Not. So hold on, let's do this. Let's log out again. Let's open this. If I do test that nowhere .com test, I hit. Oh. What? Test that nowhere .com test. Why does that log in? Why does navigating then log me in? I mean, it's not necessarily wrong, but it's like, why does navigating there actually let me in? So now it's not. It's in some weird interim state, right? So now it's logged in. So refreshing will load the ASP. And that's definitely working because that's a network call, right? Getting time zones and preferences, that's authenticated. Because that's my preferences. This is frustrating. I don't like getting stuck on this sort of stuff because it just seems like it should be really simple and it's not. What do I even look for? So what it's doing is when I log in, so I go to home, I do log in. That's probably why that's triggering because it's not on a. That's neither there. I call login. I authenticate with the server. I'm triggering status change just in case, and then I'm saying, hey, this is the method I just added in, but I've also tried the other one, and that should, invoke that task to go and actually verify my. So this checks if I'm authenticated, right? This is on my user service, right? So if I haven't, it just validates the token. That's not happening, right? That validate here to validate that the token is good is not occurring. So this doesn't get triggered, right? When I log out. All right, so that should now be false, right? So now I'm logged out. Come on. And if I go back to here and do test.nowhere.com test and then hit login, I am getting there. Okay. But it's not authenticated at that point. So I'm triggering this too early. Oh, now I'm getting it again. Okay, so I'm actually hitting it twice. That's interesting to know. So when we authenticate, does that stop it from happening? Let's see if I hit it twice now. I should hit it once to validate. Why am I not getting there at all now? Test.nowhere.com test. No, I'm not getting there at all. If authenticate. So what should happen is the ASP should refresh. I should know it's logged in, and then the UI should be working, right? So what I'm expecting to see is when I hit login, I see the log page and I see my actual ability to log. But at that point, it's not there because the ASP has still said it's false. So, but I didn't see when I brought it up before. So if I refresh now, I'll be right back. Oh, my apologies. Sally the Goose, hello. Hope you're well. I did not register on my oh, I didn't register in that chat. Apologies for that. Okay. That's interesting. Why didn't that go up on my screen? Oh, well. Okay, so what I'm expecting to see is when I authenticate, I expect to see a login and then a validate essentially. Test at nowhere.com. Why is that logging in already? Oh, I think that's caused by that. That needs to be async. Needs to be an action that's actually awaited. I think that's doing that. Maybe that's causing me some problems. Network log. Why were you logged in? Starting to think this is not what I want to be doing. So there's my login, right? Now if I refresh, I probably will see validate as well. There's my validate. So that tests the token and says, hey, are you okay? Are you good? Right? And now I can go and navigate. I'm not hitting that breakpoint, so I have no idea why that's not working. Because that's happening, right? That validate happened then. That breakpoint got completely ignored. So FYI, I have changed the ad schedule to be every 60 minutes for 3 minutes. That means that I should take a break every 60 minutes, right? But I'm trying to see if that strikes a better balance than a minute and a half every 30 minutes or whatever. But it just turns off the pre-rolls for an hour, so I figured I'd do that. So that's coming up in about 6 minutes. I dislike that ads have made having more awareness that ads are running have made streamers more apologetic, especially small streamers, like myself, because you're worried about losing that audience as you go into ads. So 3 minutes of ads is a big chunk, but it does mean that I'm taking a break if I do it right. Okay. So I'm starting to what I'm starting to question here is, am I fighting many problems at once? Am I fighting a poorly implemented authentication system with a poorly laid out code base? In such as, okay, well now I'm doing the wrong thing. So this authenticated is going to pull the token from local storage, right? If I log out, I should clear local storage, right? So that token should disappear. And I don't think it's disappearing. So let's log out. Oh, that is logging out. Yeah, it's behaving as it should. Right, there's no token. Now if I do test at nowhere.com test and log in, there's our token stored. Oh, hold on. Is that? I mean, it's working. It's passing the token. How was the stream, by the way? If anyone can answer that, because the bit rate flow at the top of the stream is showing red, which normally means Twitch is having issues. But for me, I've got no dropped frames. Is the authentication provided using the router? Yeah, yeah. So in here, I'm doing authorized view, etc. I haven't noticed anything untoward. Okay, cool. Just red normally means Twitch is having issues, but it's saying it's streaming at 6,000. So yeah. I'm starting to regret my choice of doing this. Ads. I'm going to take a quick break while those are on. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so Blazer. So this works if it registers. Is this a case of I'm doing it too soon, or I'm changing something too soon? Is it a case of no? is that doing anything? Now what should happen is the notify should actually trigger that method, and then it should let's have a look. Let's put my actual button in there properly so I can actually see the actual logout button. Div class nav link. It's not a nav link, that's the problem. Link nav link href equals pound. Okay, so there's another problem, right? I'm basically not hot reloading. Since when do you code in C#? Hi, Nassim. How you doing? Sorry, I read that in a very English manner, and that's not really how you. I don't think. I don't think you intended it that way. I have been coding in C# for about 20 years. Okay, so that works. I know you don't like Stack Overflow, but check this one out. See if it helps with Greg Gum's answer. It's not I don't like Stack Overflow, it's just Stack Overflow isn't as useful as it once was. That's I'm not anti Stack Overflow. I'd like to bypass ASP.core, however, I would still use the authorization framework. You want to implement custom authentication? Yeah, authentication state provider. Change user. Okay. Login, await, change user, auth state. Yeah, that's fine. Change user. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, that's essentially what I'm doing. So what this is ultimately what this is calling is saying, hey, well, when I log in, call notify user has changed, right? And all this does is say, hey, execute this task, because this notify just says, hey, run this task. All right. And it uses this handler to do so. So this is firing this task off. So I should hit this, right? But it's just not doing that. Because what I should see is when I go to log in, I should see a login and then a validate. All right. So I should, if I go here, network, I select that debug is there. I go test.nowhere.com, test. Hit login. I see login, but I don't see validate. You got another question. Did you learn C# self-taught, or did you go through books or others? Well, I think self-taught, you're not you're gonna have to use some resources, right? You can't. There's no There's no learning you're going to do completely on your own. Well, I mean, you could kind of try and muddle through and figure things out, but I think the right term these days is self-guided, right? Works, Ben. Thank you very much for the follow. Um, so yeah, I am very much self-taught in that I have. Um, I've been doing this. I didn't do any school or anything for this. Um, I've been using C# since it's been around, realistically. I built my first actual project starting in 2004. So um, that's when I consider myself using it because it's professional usage. But yeah, um, I have learned how to use it through just doing. Yeah. Um, I have no formal education as a developer. I have no. Kenny, hello. How you doing? It's interesting. The chat app is choosing not to show certain things, including uh, Sally's comment before, and then sneaks in. Huh. Oh well. So yeah, yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. Um, but yeah. So now if I refresh, it's there. Now I refresh again. So what I want to see is when I hit log out, it goes there. Short break will work to say hello. Thank you, Gani. I hope work is going quickly and pain-free. Um, so this isn't triggering because it's not triggering the validate, right? So it doesn't do this part, right? And that's realistic. That's what this is doing ultimately. It's doing the um, it's doing the change user is just passing in extra user information and then calling authentication state async, and then it's calling notify authentication state change the same way I'm doing here. So I am doing this. What is auth task in this world? Thank you for the follow, Dot Boo Boo. Oh, assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly. I have no clue how to do the code I have to do, so yeah, a lot of thinking involved. Those days. So what is that? Auth await auth task. Why would I inject the state provider and then turn around and get the state? Interesting. You use it on the uninitialized sample. Yeah, they get the state to get the user, and then when they log in, they use the auth state, which they've not. They're using the injected auth state, not the auth state they're resolving from the auth task. So it's a little bit confusing that. So for those new to the stream, Monday and Tuesday streams are dedicated to this project, which is called Water Drink Water. It's a simple application built to just basically be a playground for learning technologies, talking about architecture. You know, if you're a beginner, if you're getting used to coding, you're more than welcome to go and check out this and tinker around. It's not very advanced. There are some principles in there that we've kind of introduced over the course of several streams, and all the streams are up on YouTube if you want to go and catch up on some of them. But the basic premise is you log in to the application. We rolled our own here so that you can understand how all this is working. And then when you log in, what should happen, and that's what we're working on now, is this screen should change to this, where we can say, hey, I'm logging that I drank 12 ounces of water. You can go and set the preferences. Here's my target for the day, and here's my time zone, right? That's all we are doing currently. So it's not aimed at being some advanced product. It's not aimed at being, anything great. If you want to go and tinker with UI, you can do and put a React app on this or do other things. You're more than welcome to check that out. Any pull requests we make or receive, will be reviewed on stream, and it's just kind of a viewer-friendly project. The main reason being my larger project, which is the Wednesday through Friday streams, is not open source and is a lot heavier. And I want to make sure that there's at least a window for anyone new to C# or new to development in general, or newer, still has a chance of following along with what I'm doing and are able to join the conversations. It can look intimidating when you see a large code base, but it shouldn't be. So that's the driving factor behind this project. And then do it 2 days a week, so that if there is stuff that people want to do, if people do want to go off and tinker with something, do a PR, fix a problem, right? Then you can do that, and you don't have to rush for the next stream. So that's this project here. And it is linked on the cards on YouTube as well. I gotta figure that out still. So the biggest problem is if I'm making changes, right? It's letting me make changes, but hot reload doesn't work. So hot reload doesn't work in Blazor. Hot reload. It actually involves what other languages than the ones you're using right now. What other languages you can put on a website apart from HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? Well, realistically, though, I mean, put on a website, you mean it can be run in a browser? With the exception, I mean, WebAssembly, this is actually running in the browser, by the way. This is not running on the server. This is C# on using WebAssembly, which is a newer style, a newer spec overall. So I am developing this, and it is being deployed to an actual browser. If you're looking for I'm trying to think about how to term it. Like, you can use things like TypeScript, but TypeScript is underneath JavaScript. It gets transpiled into JavaScript anyway. JavaScript is still the most common way to write code in the browser. Yeah, and I use Angular to build the app for the main project, and that's using TypeScript. So, you after anything specific, Boo Boo? Or are you trying to learn something or look for best options? That reminds me. I assume that by receiving that chat, yeah, because you've followed, but you've had an account for more than a month. Okay, that's recent events have meant I've locked down the chat a little bit harder than I probably should. So I'm just kind of worried that I'm uh, pushing people out at all. Hot reload, yeah, it's just, especially having tinkered with Angular, right? I've been running the Angular app. Even when I've sent my computer to sleep and come back, I've been able to just change something and it's reloaded, etc. Imagine if we would come to be able to move the mouse of a user that would be on a website and made for fun, not for serious business. What language would I use to do that? Move the mouse of a user. I'm not sure you can you can move the pointer. That sounds, you're trying to make a gimmicky website. Um, that is normally not something you'd want to try and do, even if it's for fun. Um, I mean, realistically, you're looking at controlling the user's pointer, and that could yeah. But I don't think you can take control of user input in a browser. That would be quite the security hazard. Then you don't get debug. Yeah. Tooling, challenging. So how do I do this? I don't. Okay, I'm out going to the office and stuff for a few hours. Then tonight we have more fun doing overnights. Oh, sorry to hear that, Junicus. Well, take care. Have a great rest of your day. I will be ending the stream pretty much on time. I'm certain of that today, assuming I don't all of a sudden make some progress on this right at the last second. I thought it was possible one of the Python libraries in a tutorial. However, my goal is to just make a little website that can move the mouse of a user when he clicks a button to random. Just push even if not finished. Yeah, I will do. I'll make sure I push any changes. I know this stuff bugs you as well. Might be a fun check for tonight. Yeah, I'll make sure I push it. Um, yeah. Making a note. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, Python, that's an installed application on the machine, Doc. Moving someone's actual cursor in a browser, you know, permissions wise, that's not something that I would imagine you can do very easily. And because again, you could control what someone clicks then, right? So if you go on a website and it's malicious, you could essentially move the user's mouse to something and make them click it, right? Or control that. So I don't think that's something you would want to try and do or actually do, unless you want to panic a user. I hope you're not trying to do something malicious. Yeah. Yeah. So with the Python thing, you've got access because they've run a program. Yeah. Okay. So what we're trying to look for. Yeah. Generally, you don't want to do like, it's ill advised to do something that looks or could be misinterpreted as malicious, and that is moving someone's cursor for them is definitely a flag. So Um, yeah, every way I know of controlling the browser requires the user to run the code. So okay, so Blazor, WebAssembly, um, custom authentication, state provider, not refreshing, um, reload without page refresh. Maybe if the website is transferred into computer files and you send it to someone for fun, maybe you got some more liberty on that. Well, you'd have to you'd bundle that with something, but again, then they still have to run that, and you are running foul of being malicious, right? If you're trying to send the user a program that moves the mouse around and makes them think they're going to click a button, um, yeah. I mean, I know of no good use for that sort of stuff, other than, again, there's no fun. So I'm going to assume that rather than trying to do something malicious, you are trying to do something for prank, uh, to have fun with somebody. Because it makes me less defensive over talking about it, but yeah. Uh-huh. If you're trying to gamify something, the way I would do that is I would um, use CSS to use JavaScript and CSS to render something that looks like it, but doesn't actually do anything or can't do anything. Why? Lose log state after restart. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not losing state. I'm not reloading. Yeah, they're trying to do so Doc is trying to do the opposite of move the mouse to the thing, right? And you can't do that because you can't taking control of user input, hijacking essentially user input is not something you even want to do. That's a scary thing to do to someone if they are not part of the game. If you're trying to do it to make a game, then yeah, yeah, yeah. You can react to input. You can't change input. That's a again, that's a security nightmare waiting to happen if you provide that API. Because again, you could just move someone's button, move someone's cursor to a place you want them to click, and yeah, so you can't hijack the user input. Refresh token. No, I don't want a refresh token. I want to do authentication state provider. Reload after login without page refresh. Okay. It's time to go to the AIs. If I am using a custom authentication state provider in Blazor WebAssembly, how do I get it to refresh when I log into the application without reloading the page? Of course, you've done the trolling people with the mouse keyboard control. Good morning, Amal. How you doing? I just think in the way that things are today, messing around with someone's visuals of you know their work, the browser or whatever, is a risky thing to do. Um, so we're doing this, right? So is it not firing when we log in? Is that the problem? Is it actually not hitting this? Let's stop that. Let's build. My other nightmare here is that I've had it working and it's not working now because I've reloaded this so many times. Okay, so we've got that. We go to login. Okay, I'm refreshing that so that it's definitely okay, hit login. What's the point in having debugging? Why? Okay, so that's part of the problem. Um uh I don't want to open this in Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio. Um debugging. I'm gonna have to open this in Visual Studio just to make sure. Copy path, close that down. Visual Studio. So Angular app when? Come on. There you go. Okay. So we are going to configure start projects. We're going to do multiple. We start the API. We start the Blazor. Okay. Web browser, Google Chrome. Script debugging enabled. Output. Chrome. Okay. That's not what that's meant to be doing, but whatever. Five. Not found. It is determined to test me today. Properties. Launch settings. I'm going to modify the launch settings to launch the browser here. Oh, 7077, that's why. What was... Oh, 7045 must be the API, so it didn't... I was looking at the wrong output. Oh well. It's fine. This is better anyway. Hi, Essa. How you doing? This is Drive Me Crazy with... I don't even look the same. Blazor today. So what we're trying to check is, do we even get into here when we log in? Test at nowhere.com test. We do get there. F5. Okay, so we refresh the state provider there. We do get that method. However, we do not get any UI. So if I refresh the UI now, I am logged in. Let's log out again. Again, log out is the same thing, right? I need to do nav menu, log out, status changed. Huh. Good morning. First, I've been trying to get everyone to type this out, but I see you're not having very much fun with the auth state provider, not refreshing after your login. One thing you could try is to create a new Blazor WASM map with individual auth and see the pattern that the template uses to redirect to the page. It's most likely to do with the redirects not reinitializing the main, just blank page. Thank you, online. Good morning. Is this one of the cases where you need to call status changed or something? I'm not au fait with Blazor, so maybe miles off. I did try that initially. But let's do what one line suggests, because at this point, there's nothing I can do wrong, because this is what I'm doing is exactly what it's telling me to do when I look at, I'm configuring the provider the way they're suggesting, i.e. setting it up as scoped and then doing this. That should work fine. When I log in, I'm doing this, which is one method of doing this call. I could do status change, but I don't think that's necessarily the right thing. So let's start a new Visual Studio. Oh my goodness me. Yes. Start a new Visual Studio. I'm going to do it from within here. So it's the Microsoft templating for certain, right? Blazor WebAssembly standalone app. Blazor. Still the things we want to say Blazor Angular. Well, the purpose of this application is definitely one of Blazor is a popular technology when it comes to Microsoft, right? So building this as a Blazor app first is just my struggle. If you want to go and develop an Angular client for this, you're more than welcome to build it and do a PR, right? I'm burning through a lot of stuff because I have a meeting in a couple of hours and I want to have a POC ready for it. Plus, I'm still going to do my normal exercise break. Nice. Yeah, a busy morning. WebAssembly standalone app. Next. That doesn't seem like what I want to do. All project types. Blazor. Blazor web app. Blazor WebAssembly standalone. Blazor server. Let's go with that one, standalone app. But there's no auth. Let's go there. Oh, here we go. Authentication individual. That's what you're suggesting, right? Individual. Yeah, individual auth. Create. Okay. So they have a redirect to login. Okay. Main layout. Nav menu. Oh, that's different. Yes, donate. So they're not Auto IDC. So I'm not using OIDC. Okay, to log out, authorized view, login display. Hello, log out, not authorized, login. Authentication. Login. Where is login display? Remote authenticator view. Action. Authentication action. Hmm. Configure provider details, yeah. That's of a hosted server, correct? In what context? I'm using So right now, this is self-rolled authentication, which is, I assume, is tripping me up a bit here. So the API has auth, the idea being that the client is completely disconnected from the server side, so that if someone wants to come along and write their own client, they can do. Just use the API. So it's not using OIDC like that the standalone is. It is using just authorization core. Blazor app program. Yeah. Am I missing something there? Is there an authentication piece? No. That isn't necessary. All the examples I saw didn't have that. Test at nowhere.com test. Nah. So we get here. We are authenticated now. So I typically do is create a new project using the full Blazor web app template, choose WebAssembly and individual accounts, and check the client project's auth implementation. Yeah, the auth here is not. That's using OIDC. And I'm not using OIDC. I'm using a self. The problem is I'm using a non. Well, I'm not using non-standard entirely, but it's not typical. But it should work. That's the way most of the way I'm doing it is the way that most of the examples that are trying to do something similar. All their persistent authentication state provider used a Blazor WebAssembly standalone, which is template is set up differently. Okay, so again, not knowing what I'm doing with the Blazor pieces, that's going to trip me up. Copy path. I need to go make sure. Huh. No, I don't want to open the solution again. Remove this from the list. Yeah. So you saying use a Blazor web app. Next. Individual accounts. WebAssembly. Although that doesn't really matter, I suppose. Let's have a look. Yeah. Kind of does for the templating. Persistent state. There we go. Yeah. So add cascading authentication state. Okay. They do include that. auth. Interesting that that always gets included. Layout. Default authenticated task. Let me do that again. Let me see that. See if I did I screw that up and did not show the sample pages? Blazor app 1 in Blazor app 2. That's funny. No, I did include sample pages. Okay, I did. Oh dear. Pages count. That's server side. So what does that do? Why does that work? Either way, so if I look at what I do have, right? Yeah. Yeah. So the authentication state provider, the custom authentication state provider here. So the only thing they do there is they do like name of custom authentication state provider. That's neither here nor there. But we get the service and we do that, right? They're just getting the try take from JSON persistent component state. Persistent component state comes from right. That's theirs. But they're passing that in. I'm not disconnecting my service from this, right? I was using someone else's example, and the injecting the service is still the crux of it is I'm getting this authentication state, right? So their default unauthenticated task, they go and get the authentication state. Yeah, from result. So it has a default behavior, and then it comes in here and it says, okay, now go and get that authentication type. I think that's that. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to get the default claims. That's what that's meant to do. I don't have a username or anything in there, so that's fine. So the only thing that's different is this in theirs is right there, right? Which I don't think will make any difference. So again, the purpose of me doing this in Blazor is it is a technology that is, you know, widely used at this point. It's something that I'm not comfortable with. So doing this, as hard as this is for me to struggle through, when I know that I can go and do this, right? I could start an Angular app and probably up and running in no time at all. But the reality is I don't want to just do that. I want to do this and go through this purpose. So there is something I'm uncomfortable with because I'm trying to make sure that, you know, I don't, if you want to go and develop an Angular client to this application, you're more than welcome to go and do it. Do the PR, we'll review it on stream, right? If you want to do a React or a Vue or a Svelte or whatever else you want to do, That's what that's what these Monday and Tuesday streams are dedicated to. They're not dedicated to me knowing everything. You definitely don't need to justify it to me. I'm doing that with the UI UX design process, my weakest area. Yeah. So it's important to do those sorts of things, I think, and make sure we are. Okay, so that made no difference at all. Let's go back to here quickly. You know, even in their example, right? I'm not even seeing where they're actually using the state provider. They do configure it, right? So that's how they set it. Ah, that's a bit different. Why is it a singleton? Why would that be a singleton? Because then my use of it would be weird. Because that would make sense, because then I'm getting different instances of it. So let's do it that way. Right? So then I'm going to say... doesn't like that. Does not like that. Can provide a value for authentication state provided on type. There is no registered service of type. That is because that's not wrong. Yeah, I'm injecting it somewhere. Yeah, that's the problem. Pretty much everything in WebAssembly is a singleton if you think about it hard enough. The scope of the application run is one browser tab, but each browser tab the app open is an instance of the app. So a scoped inject is essentially a singleton for that run. Yeah, yeah. Again, my brain is not distinguishing between server and client, and this is a WebAssembly. This is running in the client. Yeah. So that is builder.services that provider goes to provider get required service. I need the injection of this because I want that to be singleton. Because I have the method on it. Right. Let's reload. Oh, now you show up. Good morning, Mr. Anhorn. I'm doing what I said I'd do, right? I feel that I'm making some progress right at the end of the stream. Nope, I'm still not making progress. I'm wrong. I was overly confident. Driving me nuts. Wait, I think I see it. Yeah. Oh, login. I'm also working on getting BTC working in that. Do not recommend. It's meant to redirect to it. So it redirects to log after because it's meant to. The idea is that the UI will refresh, right? And now this is the way it should look, right? So the idea of the UI would refresh and navigate to log, and this is what it reloads. So is it the same page as page? No, it's a separate page. It's redirecting to log. So in here, navigate to. I don't think there's any other method, right? So yeah, Mr. Anhorn, if you remember last week, we were trying to work on this custom authentication state provider. And the idea being that we should refresh the screen or reload, but it don't want to work. And actually, I'm not confident hot reload's going to do what it should do anyway. So yeah, hot reload isn't working there. Absolutely, the breakpoint when I went to hit on that line hit the next line, so I'm pretty sure that it was. I feel like people will have not clues for it. All good. I appreciate it. Okay, one more go. Test that nowhere. Test. Yeah. So log is in an authorized view, but it's actually in an authorized attribute. So I don't actually need the authorized view at this point, right? So the code in here, I inject the user service to get everything else, but yeah. But I have to finish up. Yeah, it's just not. So what happens is when I go to log here, it's actually not that. It's hitting this, right? It's coming in as not authorized. So it's going to the route, but the route isn't authorized. So because the authentication state provider hasn't refreshed yet. If I hit F5, the authentication state provider is reloaded. So it's actually getting here, right? You fail, right? Your router should be surrounded by a cascading authentication state. Is that in that sample? There's no router in this one. Routes. That is not needed in .NET 8 anymore. So confusing. Driving me nuts. Okay, so that's what that's meant to do. Okay, so that we did add. So okay, so that's this part. Yeah. So that's what this is meant to be doing. Okay. So this is not helping my opinions of Blazor very much, right? There's many different ways of approaching it. There's many different ways of plugging things in. There's confusing ways of hooking it all together. This is not a good user experience for someone coming new to web development. If you're being told, hey, use Blazor, right? What is Blazor, right? Which one do you use? How do you set it up? How do you configure it, right? And I mean, that's kind of why I'm doing it this way, right? I'm doing the least comfortable way, right? Movi, thank you very much for the raid. Hope you're well. In a little bit of fairness, you are rolling your own auth instead of using the templated app with auth settings. Without a doubt, right? I am doing something a little bit odd. However, this isn't uncommon, right? And realistically, I'm using the token, right? That's all I care about, the token. So I'm not it's not like I'm trying to hack in my own pieces, and there was plenty of examples of doing this, right? So I'm not debating that I'm definitely not doing something the normal way, but the normal way isn't very clear either, right? Um, we could change the application, but are we changing the application to support this specific client, right? Because this isn't an uncommon way of authing with using the token. So that on the server side, it's configured. You know, I have JWT, right? And it's configured that way. This is the same way my other apps set up, and I just auth with auth0 first, right? So I don't want to change this to accommodate the Blazor client, right? Maybe it's just my lack of knowledge on auth in general that's creating an issue here. Especially since it appears that it changes faster than docs tutorials can update. Yeah, yeah, we can certainly try it. There's no harm in trying that, right? So yeah, cascading authentication state, right? Log out. So yeah, you fail. See, the example is 500 lines of boilerplate code just for OIDC. But auth is not easy. It doesn't matter whether you're using Blazor, React, Angular, any other framework, right? Auth is not an easy thing, right? The Blazor stuff, the Angular stuff, right? To get the auth into there, I have to, I have to have interceptors, and I have to add in the client libraries, and I have to do all these things, right? It's not like you just hit a button and go, right? It's never going to be that way. What are you using to auth? How are you authing, etc.? But it's more, um, you know, what is the right way to do this is not very easy. I'm gonna remove that just for now because we do believe. Let's have a look. Um, Interestingly, they haven't marked that as deprecated yet. If they don't intend it to be used, they're not indicating very clearly that it should be not used. So, but anyway, let me get this commit because I'm running late again. This is not good. Git changes. Water, drink water. It's fine to use it if you're not using the latest patterns. They use it in the WebAssembly standalone. Oh, so the first project I started up. Yep, they do. So it is in the standalone one, the first one I tried. But this doesn't use the state provider. Which is possible because the templates, right? This doesn't use any of the new stuff, the cascading auth provider or anything like that. So, um, actually, let me verify that that is actually done at 8. Yeah, it's still done at 8. Of course, using this pattern, you can switch out OIDC with your IDP. Yeah. But either way, let's stage changes. Let's have a look at what I actually did commit here. I want to make sure these changes are up, and that way you guys can check out the app if you want to do. You're more than welcome to play with it. If you because I'm happy to learn a lesson here. Oh no, you're not holding me up. I'm holding myself up with this. It's you know, as all of us are probably inclined to do, when you hit a challenge like this, it's you don't want to just stop. Add custom authentication state provider. ISP is working if you refresh after you log in, but will not change state without fresh. Goal, when login, UI should change, and the log parentheses menu items here, and you should be taken to log screen. Okay, so there is a branch, feature 16, on that project. Again, if you are interested in looking, DVD friends, water, drink water. It's the project. So, I will see if I get any time to do this today. To look any deeper today. I have unfortunately a full-time job to do as well. Sadly. But if not, I will be back tomorrow to continue the struggle. I'm going to persevere with this. I think it's the right thing to do, to persevere through this, learn the lessons. You know, it might seem like a waste of time. Yeah, that's me. But this is definitely something that, you know, will potentially, you know, not will potentially, I will learn something from this, and will grow. Can you use force reload to navigate to log? That would be the other option that someone else did. I did see that, but it should work without it. And the person that I did see that Stack Overflow article on did say that what they changed was this, right? And it worked. So yeah. Well, thank you for the suggestion, Razvan. Welcome. So I will come back to this tomorrow. If you find anything out, you're more than welcome to jump in the Discord and post any questions, thoughts, opinions, etc. on this. Again, if you want to check out this repository and tinker with it yourself, you're more than welcome. If you want to build a UI for this yourself in a different technology, you're more than welcome to do that. The goal is the goal is definitely to just, you know, produce a code base that we can tinker with and talk about on stream, that everyone has access to. That is not my main project. So okay, well, let's see if we have anybody streaming right now. I have more game devs in my stream list these days than actual app devs, which is a challenge. So also, if you didn't get to see it, there's a video up on the YouTube that I put up there on the YouTube. Wow. Tell me you're old without being saying you're old. There's a video up on YouTube that I made over the weekend on using Mediator library, which if you haven't checked it out yet, so unfortunately it's 30 minutes long because I actually do go into samples, but it is there if anybody's interested in using that. Basically showing how to use Mediator in place of just making services for what you do. Not very in depth, but it is good. I'm going to take you over to Fullbox. Fullbox is developing a game, but Fullbox is developing an awesome game. So I would recommend checking Fullbox out. And Malvi, thank you very much for raiding in. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll do some more of this. So take care, all. Have a great rest of your day. If I don't see you around on Twitch, and yeah, see you again. Bye.